So the reason I'm making this video is because this is real life, and I've always said that social media is a platform to have all your friends and support you through the good times and the bad times, and I don't think social media has to just be a highlight reel. I think it can give people that hope that everything is just always up here in life, and unfortunately that's not the way it is. There's always going to be ups and downs. I really don't want to cry through this whole video because I don't want to make other people sad, but miscarriage is something that happens to 1 in 4 people, and some doctors say it's even upwards from 25% up to 40% of all pregnancies can end in miscarriage. Definitely not always before the 12-week mark. There's people that lose babies at any time through the pregnancy. There is women that lose babies after actually giving birth in the first 24 hours, and it's always traumatic no matter what stage it is, because it's always a life. So due to my calculations, I was 11 weeks from when we initially found out and things, but when I had the dating scan 2 weeks ago, I was only 7 weeks. But then I'm wondering if baby was measuring a lot smaller because there was abnormalities. Like, we just won't know. So when I initially shared the pregnancy news before the 12-week mark, everyone was really supportive and really lovely. There was a few messages from people like saying that I should have waited till 12 weeks. But I did a post about the fact that if something was to go wrong at any stage, which it can happen after 12 weeks as well, I don't think people should have to suffer alone, because we need to support each other. And like, social media has the power to be a really positive place, and where people can uplift each other and, you know, give support when through the good and the bad, and people be happy for each other when they're going good, and, you know, support them when they need support. So James and I got home from hospital this morning at 1 AM and went to bed, and I woke up this morning and put some makeup on and straightened my hair, because that's what makes me feel good. Like, I like straightening my hair and putting makeup on. So that's why, if someone's like, why have you got makeup on? Because I wanted to. So I'm going to share what happened the last few days and how I knew something was wrong and went to the doctors. If you don't want to listen to this part, because I'm going to be really honest what happened, I completely understand. And if you have experienced a loss of a baby at any age, I'm really sorry for your loss, because it's not an easy thing to go through. So it's Thursday today, and Monday, James and I had sex, just being honest, and after we had sex, I noticed when I went to the toilet there was like a little bit of spotting, like blood on the toilet paper, and a few of my friends who have had pregnancies said that that's kind of normal after sex during pregnancy, because you're a lot more sensitive and stuff down there. So I wasn't too worried about that. And then Tuesday I had some like light spotting that was like occurring, and I still wasn't that worried. And then yesterday I woke up and I thought the bleeding had stopped, so I was like, oh, okay, that's good. But then during the middle of the day it got worse and I had to put a pad on, and it started to have like little clots in the blood, and when I was going pee there was like blood coming out, kind of like a period, and I was like, this isn't good. Like I just kind of was like, this isn't good. Like if it was just like a burst artery or something, like a little thing, it wouldn't be this much blood. So I was trying to stay positive, and I was like, you know, we'll just go to the doctors and get it checked. So when James got home, he asked me if I was okay because I was having some cramps and I was lying on the couch. And as soon as he asked if I was okay, I just started crying. And he was a bit confused because I was okay, and then as soon as he asked me if I was okay, that's when I lost it. And then we went up to the doctors, and the doctor was really lovely but was like careful with his words, and just said, you know, pain like cramps and bleeding is never a good sign in pregnancy when it's like this much and kind of this early. While we were in the waiting room to see the doctor, I was having like cramps that would come every now and then, like mild contractions, and I would just bend over and hold myself, and it was like a pulling feeling. And then he referred us to go to the the hospital and go and get an ultrasound. He said that will make you feel more at ease. If it is just a mild problem, they'll be able to tell. So we drove down to the hospital, and we're in the work truck and it doesn't fit under the hospital car park. So we had to drive down and park down like at Dan Murphy's on the corner, which is like a little walk away but not too far. And James offered to drop me off at the front and then come and meet me, but I wanted him with me. And then on the walk in the car park, I felt like quite a big clot come out. Which just felt really weird. Like, and I just started crying because I didn't know, but it didn't feel like a good thing. And as we were actually walking to the hospital, there wasn't many cars around, and I kind of like pulled my pants open and like looked at the pad, and I could see like quite a big clot there, and it doesn't feel nice walking with like a pad, blood and stuff in it. And then when we got to the hospital, it was like probably 20 people in the waiting room. There was quite a lot of people. People with sports injuries and people that were sick, all sorts of things. And we had to wait for quite a while, which is normal at a public hospital. And there wasn't really much they could do straight away, so I was sitting there. And because I was going to get an ultrasound, I didn't want to go to the toilet because you're meant to have a full bladder. It'll make it better for the ultrasound. So I was just trying to like wait, and it's hard to know how long it's going to be. And then a nurse came out who comes and checks your blood pressure and checks your temperature and things beforehand, and she brought me inside to ask me a few questions because she saw on the notes what had happened and what I was going through. And she gave me a new pad to go to the toilet. She said it would be okay because I could just drink some more water just to try and pee, to do a little urine test, and it would be okay to... I was going to try and pee just a little bit into the cup and then leave the rest of the pee in me, but once you start peeing, it's not easy to stop when you've got a full bladder. And I went into the toilet at the hospital, and the lady had said, I said, do I need to keep the pad, like, so that you can test the blood or anything, like send it away for testing? And she said, no, just chuck it away. I was like, okay. So I went into the bathroom and I sat on the toilet, and then when I pulled my pants down, I'm just telling you the complete truth of what happened. When I pulled them down, I could see like I don't know, like a little fetus, like that didn't really look like a human. It was just like a little caterpillar, and there was like a sack in the middle, and I sat there and looked at it, and then it kind of clicked that it was like a little placenta of meat, like a little sack of a little placenta, and it was like, I don't know, the size of like a plum. And then there was like a little, yeah, fetus with like a little umbilical cord looking thing from it. And I just sat there and I held it, and I was like, I can't just throw this in the bin, like. So I folded the pad up and put it in the packet of the new pad, and then put a new pad on and went outside. James messaged me while I was in the toilet and said, are you okay? Because I was taking a while. And when I walked out, I walked to go out the front door because there was quite a lot of people in the waiting room, and I didn't want to cry in front of them. And I just said to James, come on, as I was walked past him, and he was confused because he thought we were like leaving or something. And then we got in like the middle area of the doors, like away from people, and I just dropped on the ground. And it was really hard to tell him. It was really hard to tell him, like what do you say? Like, I just gave birth. Like, it's like I said, I think I just passed the baby, because I don't know, like, it's hard to know how to word it. So then we just went back in the waiting room after he hugged me for a while and waited for like another hour or so. And I asked him, I was messaging one of my friends, one of my best friends who has been through this, and I'd taken a picture because I didn't know what to do when I was in the toilet, and my friend said, you can send it to me, like, I've been through this before. So I sent her a picture, and she said, I'm sorry, but that looks like the baby. And I kind of knew it already, but like, you know, it doesn't seem real. And then I told James to go up and tell the guy at the desk, you know, that I think we've passed the baby. But he said you just have to wait until the doctor's free. So we waited a while, and then we got to the hospital at about just before 8 o'clock, and I think we got seen just after 10. and their nurses brought me into a room, and the nurses were so nice and sweet and like empathetic, like, and it makes it so much better when you're dealing with really kind people. So the nurses took me into the room and did a blood test. They asked to take the baby fetus and placenta to send it away for testing, and it was really weird, like just giving it, like they felt bad asking, but they were like, do you want to send it away for testing? And I was like, okay, because it might, you know, give some answers or something. But then later on through the night they brought it back in a little like jar and just said they wouldn't really be able to do much with testing, so I don't really know, but they gave us it back. And the nurse then did like an examination and had to put the duck thing, if you know what the duck thing is, in me and wind it open to open me up and check my cervix, and it was pretty traumatizing. I don't deal well with that. My legs were shaking and it was really hard to relax when they're doing that, and it was quite painful. But because I'd had what they call a complete miscarriage, where the whole baby and the placenta comes out, they didn't have to do the sweep thing that they do where they clean you out. They're getting me to go back in a few days to check and do an ultrasound just to check everything's out. But I've still been having pains, like kind of contraction pains through the night. It like comes in waves and goes, and it's just like pain right down in your lower abdomen, like period pain, but quite intense. So that's meant to last for a few days. I posted a picture to let everyone know that when it happened, because I always said I was going to be open and honest with the ups and the downs, and I would rather just tell people rather than wait and have people ask how baby's doing and things like that. So I understand some people can't understand why I would post, you know, that straight away and make a video straight away, but I'm just being honest, and I'm always going to be honest with everything. I had my phone in airplane mode overnight, and I turned it on around 10 or 11 this morning, and I've got hundreds of beautiful messages of support and people, you know, that have also gone through loss, and I haven't gone through them all yet because I just have to have a little bit of time, but I think it's good to talk about it to people and good to communicate and tell everyone how you're feeling. And if you want to just grieve in like alone, that's fine as well. Like everyone deals differently. I think this is the hospital. Hello, Zarah speaking. I'm about to head out to go get my nails done, but yeah. Okay, thank you. Bye. Oh my gosh. That was the lady who's calling to book me in to have my ultrasound and things. She was so sweet. So I just went to my nail appointment and got my nails done because I had that appointment booked in for weeks, and she asked me this morning if I wanted to change it, but I wanted to go and get them done, and they were really lovely, and I love having fresh nails. And then I just got home, and my brother and my best friend Shay came over to bring me flowers. that was nice. I've still been having like pains, like you get like mild contraction period pains. Like obviously it's not as strong as a contraction, but it's like a mini period cramp that comes and goes. And that's not nice, but it's meant to like only last for a few days. I'll put some footage in here after this of like when I was having the bleeding and things, and you can see that I'm not that worried about it. I don't think it's like necessarily a thing that if you know you do get some light bleeding or something to worry too much, because you don't need to worry about what you can't help. But it's definitely always good to go and get checked to be safe, and I'm glad that I did, because if that had happened without knowing at home or while James was at work without him here, that would have been so much more traumatic. Like just because you're not really expecting it, so you got to listen to your body, and I knew that that amount of blood and like clotting wasn't normal, and really, yeah, definitely needed to be looked into more. We are off to the place to get our first scan. Or do you know what it's called?
What place? Yeah, it's an auditorium.
What?
Is that what it is?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Hey, obviously it is.
Okay, well.
It's not.
The radiology place.
Like
We're going to the place where we get our scan, and yeah, we'll take you along.
Above your heart. You look up there, so this is a little bump and there's a little heart beating just, yeah. Wow. So it's very, very tiny, but there is definitely a baby there. So just measuring the heartbeat. We don't hear it, but we can just measure it. So I'm just gonna.
So this is our little baby, just in there. From my last period, 9 weeks, but they reckon it's only 7 weeks and 1 day at the moment. So it is week 10 of the pregnancy. Due to like my calculations, but due to the scan, it's week 8. So it's going to be confusing because originally it was further on, but then when I got the dating scan it was further back. So we'll say officially I'm 8 weeks. And today I have had like a little bit of light bleeding and some like just like spotting kind of thing, and a little bit of discomfort down there. So I'm not worried, because there's no point worrying when there's nothing to worry about kind of thing. You're not necessarily meant to bleed when you're pregnant, but a lot of people do in their first trimester, and get like spot bleeding and things like that, inclination bleeding when everything's like starting up the uterus lining for having a baby. There can be like irritation to the cervix after having sex and things like that, so there's heaps of different things that can cause it. So I'm just gonna see how I go tomorrow, and if not, I shall go and see the doctor. So it's the second day of bleeding now, and it's like not really stopping, so we're gonna go down to the medical centre and get checked out. I don't really know what they can do, but like it's just better to get checked. So I've just put like a pad on, and then yeah, we'll see what they say. I talked to a few of my friends who have had bleeding during pregnancy, and there's things like a blood vessel can pop and all sorts of different things, so yeah, just trying to stay positive. So we need to obviously like bury the baby under one of the trees, and that's not going to be nice. I feel like miscarriage being so common is not talked about much at all, and that's why I kind of wanted to share my story. And along with like mental health has definitely been something that's getting talked about a lot more the last few years, which has been really good. Like people with anxiety and all sorts of different mental health conditions. I think it's really good that we're spreading the awareness, and then obviously suicide being a really big problem as well. I've lost a few friends unfortunately to suicide, and so many people have lost friends and family, and it is traumatizing. I definitely think for the people that are wanting to talk about it, it's good to spread awareness and not just share all the helplines as such, but more try and look out for people you work with, and if you notice they're not okay, reach out to them, because sometimes they don't want to reach out, people that are really struggling. And you know, we always say it's like the loud and the funny people and things. It can be anyone that's going through depression and things, and I think we need to be aware of people that are close to us, and it might not always be family or friends, it might just be a work colleague, and we need to recognize if someone needs help and just reach out and do as much as we can to what people feel comfortable with. But I know I can tell when even some of my clients come into the hair salon, I can tell if they're not okay, and I follow them outside and often just give them a hug. And often they'll say thank you like the next time they come in, because they really needed that hug. I could just tell they're off, same as the girls that work with me in the hair salon. I can tell when they're not okay, and I'll sometimes say, are you all good? And they'll say yes, because that's what we say. And then I'm like, no, you're not. And then I give them a hug, because they're so surprised that you know, but you notice when you work with people and you're around them all the time if something's not okay. So yeah, it's gonna be like a healing journey to like get back to like heal after this experience. But I'm lucky I've got James, who's really supportive, and I have amazing family and friends who are there for me. And I haven't been on social media to go through all my messages at the moment, because it's a little bit overwhelming at the moment. I just kind of need breathing time, if that makes sense. But I'm making this video to express how I'm feeling, and obviously it's going to be quite emotional. But this is real life, and this is what, you know, people go through every day. I'm really sorry if this video brings up a lot of emotion for people. I'm definitely not trying to do that. I'm just sharing my story, and I will always share the good and the bad, because life isn't always like up high. You get highs and lows. It's a roller coaster, and that's the journey of life. Everything, I know everyone says, like, it sounds cliche, everything happens for a reason, but if we didn't have bad things ever happen, we wouldn't really appreciate the good. If we didn't have, you know, people that were nasty and things, you wouldn't really truly appreciate the really lovely people and the compassionate people that make you feel good. That's what I believe anyway. So yeah, you know, people that were nasty and things, you wouldn't really truly appreciate the really lovely people and the compassionate people that make you feel good. That's what I believe anyway. So yeah. I don't know how to say goodbye. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video here and just thank you so much for all your love and support. It definitely means a lot, and I'm sorry I won't be able to get back to everyone. Yeah. Bye everyone.